So it's yet another episode of the Crypto Radar podcast.
Hey.
So you would have seen some old coins moved during the week.
Yeah, that was interesting. So this old wallet, a lot of people were freaking out thinking that it was a Satoshi Nakamoto wallet. And it was a 50 Bitcoin wallet, which sounds like an awful lot. But keep in mind, in the early days, the block reward was 50 Bitcoin. So that was just 10-minute mining reward. A single 10-minute reward. Anyway,
Yeah.
There were all kinds of theories about who it was.
Yeah. It was clearly an early Bitcoin user because that was month old, right? That was within 30 days of the network beginning. My question is, so let's say it was either Satoshi or someone that the group, also known as Satoshi Nakamoto, knows. What's the implications at the end of the day? You know?
Yeah, I don't know if there's really big implications. It turns out there's something like 400 wallets that already existed by that time that could have been involved. So it's not as rare as you might imagine it to be. Right. But the fear was that it was Craig Wright because he had said, say about a year ago, that soon around the halving, when the hash rates were kind of vulnerable, yes, he would start dumping Bitcoin. And this address is actually associated with an address he stated in his lawsuit as being his, along with many other addresses that clearly are not his.
Correct. There's an outstanding website where you can generate pretend Satoshi wallets. I couldn't. I don't know what it's called now, but you can. It's called the. There's an online tool. Here we go. Yeah, you can Satoshi yourself. So what you do is you click Make Me Satoshi, and it gives you a bunch of signatures and a message hash to make it look like you. It gives you. It's called fake Toshi credentials.
So did Craig use that himself then? Because,
it's before the courts, man. I'd hate to speculate.
He's in an interesting place, though, right? Because he's claimed that it's his address, and then the money moves, and he claims, well, I didn't move it. And here he is in court having said it's his.
Yes. He's got this double claim that these are addresses to which they belong to me, but I don't have access to them.
Yet the money moved.
Then there's money moving. So
either he's a liar because it's not actually his wallet that he controls, or he's telling the truth and he has moved it, in which case the lawsuit's going to win against him and get half of his money.
Exactly. That's his spot. I couldn't believe that Craig Wright would lie about something, though. I mean, it just doesn't seem like that. Hey, if you're a
BSV guy, I guess you're trusting him still at this point. I don't know how a person still trusts that. So I mean, I tell you what, and this is, it's funny, but it's also, I'm kind of serious about it. People like Craig Wright and Justin Sun need to disappear. And I don't mean the industry is just going to be so much like the industry is better off without the clear scams that it's been subjected to. It is going to be so much better off when people like those just vanish and no longer have anything to do with it. Because I think, if it is, and I believe in the Bitcoin as investment grade asset narrative, if that is to come to fruition. And I don't think that's a bad thing either, by the way. If that is to come to fruition, these people, this kinds of behavior and these kinds of people just need to, go away. Move on. Find something else.
Yeah, go do something else,
Well, it's the early stages still, and it attracts those types of people.
It does. Certainly does. Speaking of early stages, I don't know if you know the Ryan, whatever his name is. He has a really good daily email thing. He talked about the early stages of Visa, as in the Visa card, and it's fascinating. Firstly, how long it took for Visa to become, for people to get used to using plastic, and how awkward it was in the beginning. You may not remember, I do remember when it used to involve a person having to pick up the phone and check in with the bank, and that bank would check with the issuing bank, and you'd have to sign a paper thing.
You'd have that metal thing, and they'd go.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was terrible UX, and they also did airdrops. They airdropped Visa cards to people's mailboxes. Some of them would get stolen by, because someone's got a Visa card with like a $200 limit on it in their mailbox. It gets stolen. So there's a lot of similarities between Visa replacing cash to crypto replacing Visa and cash. It was really well written, and it made me realize that, okay, so we are actually, you mentioned that it's still early days for crypto, and we're at 10, 11 years in, but it is still early days.
Very much so. I feel like it's kind of around, if you were to compare it to the internet, somewhere around 1996, where it's like, it's not very user friendly. It's kind of a pain in the butt even just to get connected. And you got to kind of know your stuff technically to do anything useful. Yeah. And it's slow, and there's lots of problems, and there's a lot of predatory behavior. There's a lot of people taking advantage of people who don't really know what they're doing.
Right.
It just attracts that sort of behavior, right? Yeah. Difference being with Visa, you wouldn't go, oh man, I used that Visa 20 years ago, and now that would have been worth $90 million.
Yeah, that's the difference.
Right? Yeah. Like if you look, this past week we had Pizza Day, and the story, of course, the most famous one being, what's the guy's name? Laszlo Hanyet. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And he bought 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoins, which at the time was worth 2 pizzas, right? And now it's worth like $92 million. And he said he did that several times. In fact, he said he did it more than 10 times, which means he spent more than $1 billion on pizzas, about 20 pizzas, right? Now, of course, he doesn't regret it. He had plenty of Bitcoin besides that. That's what people don't realize. They go, oh, no, so terrible. It's like, guys, he's fine, right? Yeah. And he kind of wanted to disseminate Bitcoin to a broader group of people, and that was his motivation for doing that, right? So, Andreas Antonopoulos said he'd used Bitcoin to buy like a pound of coffee. He bought a pound of coffee for 5 Bitcoin. So it's all relative, right?
Yeah.
But again, these are people that have plenty of Bitcoin. They didn't spend all of their Bitcoin savings on coffee and pizzas.
Yes, we shouldn't be so worried about Laszlo Pizza Boy. Happy Pizza Day, by the way, whenever that was. I know it was recent. But I just back to the Visa thing briefly. Mm-hmm. The airdrops were later deemed illegal by the SEC.
So the airdrop was it a preloaded card? Did it have value on it?
It had, yeah. Yes, it would have the person's name. They wanted to spread it around, right?
Okay.
So you'd have a name and you'd have a credit limit. It wasn't preloaded; it was credit. You're putting people.
So they basically gave you account Wells Fargo style. They're like, here's your account. Yes. We're gonna start charging you fees. Oh, you didn't know about the fees? Oh, sorry.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, wow. So I mean, there's so many parallels. I wish I knew that guy's. He's got 3 words in his name. Like he's got a middle name that he uses. I don't know what. And so
well, maybe we can throw it in the comments after. And again, I want to remind people: subscribe, like, and make comments. We really want to hear your opinions. We've seen a few comments. One of them asked us to be their friends.
Yes, I've seen that guy quite a few times.
So yeah, we're your friends, but I'm talking comments actually pertaining to our discussion would be nice.
Would be nice. It will be nice indeed.
I have no problem with what people asking us to be their friends, but it would be nice to actually discuss, what we've talked about in the videos. For my journeys piece this last week, I'll just switch to that topic. I talked with Alex Tapscott. Now, if that name doesn't ring a bell, it was kind of cool because I read this. I want to say 2018, I think, is when this is from. So year and a half ago.
You're a bit blurry there.
Oh yeah, Blockchain Revolution. Alex Tapscott, and he co-wrote it with his father, Donald Tapscott, who is already a well-established author for years now, best-selling author. He wrote Wickonomics and a number of other very popular books. He was very interesting to talk with. He had a finance background straight out of he lived in Toronto, and most kids in Toronto end up going, if they do go to university, they go local. They go to Queen's University, or they go to University of Toronto, or maybe to Montreal. They go to McGill. But he was encouraged to go to the States because he was a very good football player. And so he went down to the States, and he ended up going to a little liberal arts college called Amherst in New England, and had excellent experience there. And from that, he went into finances. But during his time in finances, he kind of learned about Bitcoin, and talking to his father, who's a professor, the two of them decided to collaborate on writing about the potential for blockchain to revolutionize loads of different applications, including, of course, the financial world. And it was an enormous success. He was saying that his publisher said Blockchain Revolution sold more copies than all other books about blockchain combined.
Is that right?
Yep. It's in 19 languages. He says, Mongolian, Chinese, Korean, Japanese. He had a Mongolian copy on his shelf.
Is it about...
He says, I don't know how many people in Mongolia bought it, but it exists.
Is it about crypto, or is it about blockchain more broadly?
It's about how blockchain will change the world societally, how it'll change industries, how it can change the way we interact, looking at things like smart contracts and how that'll change certain areas. And there's a whole section in it that kind of gets into all the nitty-gritty of what kind of things specifically it could change. But no, it's very interesting talking with him. Of course, he also started the Blockchain Research Institute with his father. And that's probably the preeminent think tank in the world on blockchain in terms of researching its applications.
Right.
So, it was very interesting. PRI. That's correct. Yeah. And of course, he's done loads of speaking engagements. He says he's done more than 300. He's been to every continent except Antarctica. So he's kind of hoping to get a gig there, he said. Talk to some penguins, I guess. I don't know.
There's some smaller audience sizes if he's prepared to deal with that.
So DNFA, do we want to talk about that?
It's DNFA. Definitely not financial advice. Often not related to finance whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm noticing a trend.
Yeah. Well, so it is definitely not financial advice.
Hey, just before we go on, I want to mention something. About 2 weeks ago, I was saying the next thing we're going to see is a rise in Ethereum.
I'm not having this. No, I'm not having
rise in Ethereum dominance. Okay. And initially I had said it's going to grow in dominance, but I did say, admittedly, a 1 week time span is too tight. So I'm giving myself some leeway here. And looking at it now, it's exceeded. It's 9.2. It's well on its way. And I had said initially, it's going to be at 9.1, and then it's going to go to 9.5. It's going to get there. So I think retroactively, I should get that point.
I'd prepared to give it to you if it doubled a year from now, but I think you're clutching at straws. Okay, if every prediction if every prediction you make, you give yourself an unlimited amount of time for it to play out.
Isn't that how all these people do this?
You're going to be on the winners list eventually. Yeah.
How do you think all these PA people do this? They just go, hey, look, I was right. just track back through our predictions and bing when it hits. So no,
I love technical analysts, man.
To me, it's similar to horoscopes, right? I mean,
yeah, Bitcoin will either hit 9,500, and if it doesn't, it'll fall to 8,300, and if it doesn't, it'll give me a break.
And then they're like, see,
I told you I was right.
Yeah.
It's either going to rise, and if it doesn't rise, it'll fall.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a problem. It's problematic. So, and then I talked about Bitcoin hash rate, though. And again, this one I'm thinking in a week's time, I'll probably be right.
You talked about the Bitcoin hash rate?
I'm trying to tone it down, the hash rate topic, but I did do it in the DNFA last week, so I kind of have to mention it again. And you actually this time, I have to give it to you because it's kind of hovered in the range of the 90-ish. Currently, it's 94 exahashes per second. So it has stabilized. A lot of people were freaking out about it, but realistically, if you look even just a few months back, it's still doing pretty well. Although fees have gone up because of the lower hash rates, the mempool's been filling up, but that is calming down now. So we've got another difficulty adjustment coming in about 10 days, I think. It's a little longer this time because it's a little slower. And that's going to drop again. It's projected to drop by another, say, 6% or so. Okay. And we're just going to see it. It's going to work its way to balancing, and then it'll start climbing. But that's not my DNFA. What do you have for... Oh, wait a second. What was your prediction last week?
The Trump dump.
Right.
So now there wasn't a Trump dump, but
sort of there was.
The group Revil, R-E-Vil, have declared that they have in fact sold the Russia hotel
PP tapes.
The PP tapes data to a private party. They won't reveal how much they sold it for, and nor who they sold it to. But
the entire market cap of Verge. The entire market cap of Verge.
They were asking for $42 million, which is they couldn't have got what they wanted for, as far as I'm concerned. But they claim they sold it. I don't know, But I got a new one. Would have been interesting.
Yep.
So my definitely not financial nor necessarily financially related advice for this coming week is my DNFA for this week. What the fuck is wrong with this thing? My definitely not financial advice for the week is that the Winklevoss buck. Do you know what the Winklevoss buck is?
Tell me about it.
The Winklevoss buck is formerly known as the Gemini dollar. It was created by the Winklevossians. Is that what we're calling the those two geeky rowers? That
I've always called them Winklevoss.
Winklevoss, okay, yeah. So the Winklevoss buck has a market cap hovering around $8 million, and it's virtually impossible you can't get it anywhere, right? You have to use a Gemini exchange. I don't even know who uses a Gemini exchange. I think BlockFi lists it. Maybe Poloniex did pre-Sun era. Anyway, Tyler has made this outrageous assertion that competition between stablecoins will really begin once Wall Street moves into decentralized finance. Is to me outlandish, and I think what he's trying to do is pump up the virtues of using the Winklevoss buck, which is virtually the least possible, smallest cap, most inaccessible stablecoin that's ever known to man, right? It's easier to find, uranium rods than it is a Winklevoss buck.
Unobtainium.
So, but yeah, unobtainium. That's good. I like that. I'm going to go with this as a definitely not financial advice, that the Winklevoss market cap, in light of a Winklevoss prediction that Wall Street's going to move into decentralized finance entirely against their own interest, that the Winklevoss buck this time next week will have a market cap at least $16 million, which is about double what it is now.
You're projecting it to double in a week's time?
Yep. There'll be Winklevoss mania.
Why? What are you talking about, man? You're off the rails today.
Well, you gotta go big and bold. Now there'll be Winklevoss mania. Everybody will want to get their hands on the Winklevoss buck.
Are they paying you right now?
I'm sorry, Tyler. You know I love you. I'm just playing around.
Interesting. I looked into this whole Steem and Tron drama with Justin Sun kind of taking over the network, and then there were Steemians or Steamatons or whatever they're called that basically tried to fork off and move off with their funds, and then Sun contacted the exchanges and said, "Oh, you need this quote update, for security," but really it was to freeze the funds of all these protesters, and the exchanges kind of went along with him. I don't know if it was a case where they didn't do their due diligence and they were like, well, okay, it's an update, and they just went ahead and executed it and went, oopsies, that froze the funds, or if there was some actual conscious collaboration there. I don't know. And they've kind of acted like they didn't know. But anyway, CZ, the CEO of Binance, was saying in the end they kind of have to support it because otherwise all the funds of Steem get frozen for everybody. And so they're kind of in a tight place. But he also said he'd encourage the community to go ahead and do another fork if they want to. So my prediction for DNFA is that we're going to see yet another fork before next week Sunday.
Yeah, that's a good one, actually.
What do you think?
No, I'll double you on that one. I predict there'll be 2 more forks.
Interesting.
Before this time.
It's just a war of forks.
Yes.
It's funny because I used to write on Steem. That's where I started writing, and I've just kind of let it sit there since I started writing for Cointelegraph and other websites. And now I have Hive. It just kind of appeared there, and I just went to log into it. I'm like, oh, hey, look, I've got Hive now too, because Hive was the fork from Steem.
No, there's Steem, and there's Hive, and now this is now another Steem.
Well, it's kind of convoluted because you have the Steem blockchain, but then you also have platforms that utilize that blockchain. All right, and this is what a lot of people don't understand. So Steemit is not Steem. Steemit is an app that uses Steem as its blockchain, but it's really just a face that you look at things on, right? And so Steemit itself can be run, by somebody like, say, Justin Sun, and he can censor what's on there if he wants. But if you go look on the blockchain, whatever people have posted, you can find it. But it's just not necessarily going to show up on Steemit unless they deem it to be on there, right? And so now what they've done is they've created a whole new fork called Hive, and there's also hiveblog.io. I think it's .io. If you type in Hiveblog, you'll find it. And it's just a replica of Steemit, but now that's controlled by another party, right? Now the Steem blockchain itself has basically been usurped by a coordinated attack that, basically this whole delegated proof of stake system, it didn't work because they basically created a bunch of witnesses out of tokens that were sitting on exchanges and just took over the whole network. It would be similar to a 51% attack, but more like a 100% attack.
Yeah.
They just took over the whole network with the tokens. And that's part of the problem with the Steem blockchain is token holders can become the delegates. And so anyone who holds these tokens can go, oh, okay, well, now I'm a witness, and just basically take over things. So it's problematic.
That was another Fabo Epo of the Crypto Radar podcast. We'll catch you this time next week, and take it easy in the meantime.
You too.